Hi, this is Madhu. I'm a senior SAP functional consultant having 10 plus years of experience in SAP into these modules like PM plant maintenance and QM quality management, customer service, and PP production planning PPPI. So in these modules, for each individual course, it's going to be 45 days and 45 hours. Um, and many students ask me this question, like who is eligible to become a functional consultant? So my answer is whoever just passed out like 3 years of degree, any degree, or like BTech passed out, so they are eligible for learning SAP and to become a functional consultant. And if they have any higher degrees like MBA or any post graduations, so that is also fine. But you should at least have like a 3 years of degree, any passed out 3 years of degree or BTech. So that's the first eligibility. And here, let me give you a brief introduction about what I'm going to cover in the training course. So here you will be learning, it starts with the SAP introduction and SAP history and architecture of SAP and project types in SAP, phases in SAP, phases in SAP projects and the deliverables of functional consultant at the client side and career in SAP. And when it comes to the individual modules, so you will be learning the master data, configuration, and transactional data and for that particular module, and also non-standard functionality knowledge like how to develop, how to write functional specifications. So let's just start with like about all these elements individually. So this is like a SAP ERP history, and SAP stands for Systems, Applications, and Products in Database Processing. And here it was invented by Germany company SAP SE in 1992, but the name was SAP R3 in 1992, but later it was changed to SAP ERP in 2004. And here ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. And if anyone asks like what is the current version in SAP ERP as of today, so it is 6.0 EHPI. So what is 6.0? 6.0 was introduced in 2016 and it is still like 6.0 only. But if there is any additional functionality changes or modifications in 6.0, SAP is releasing them in the form of enhancement package. The current enhancement package is EHP8. So it is basically SAP ERP 6.0 and EHP8 currently. This is the three-tier architecture layer for SAP. It's presentation, application, database. Just imagine what is presentation. Presentation is like it's a layer which is directly facing to and which is directly interacting with the user. So the SAP transaction codes like SAP day-to-day activity functionality, business activities, the user is interacting with the presentation layer directly. And there in the presentation layer, user is creating the data and editing the data and displaying the data. So all these data, like whenever the user is doing all these activities, the data is coming and going back to the layer, a layer which is called as a database layer. And in the database layer, the data is stored here. And between presentation layer and database layer, the application layer acts as a mediator. And for all the logics from presentation layer and for all the kind of editing and creation data and all that coding is completely incorporated into application layer. So application layer is built with coding and database layer is built with data and presentation layer is built with the functionality to interact with the user. That's about the three-tier architecture. And coming to the project types in SAP, so typically these are the four types of projects: implementation, rollout, and SAP upgradation and support projects. So what is implementation? So let's consider a company which has never used SAP, so they want to use SAP. So that kind of project is like implementation project. And rollout project is all about, so there is one company, they have branches in different countries, like 4 or 5 countries, and now they want to just start implementing the SAP in one location. If it is successful, then they roll out the same template to all other locations. So that's the that kind of project is rollout. And the third one is SAP upgradation project. Consider, imagine a company using a old version of SAP like 4.5, and they want to upgrade it to a new version like SAP 6.0. So in that case, they have to go through this SAP upgradation project path. And thus coming to the fourth one, support project. Support project is like, they have already implemented. The company has already implemented or already did the rollout or already did the upgradation, but later they will have some issues or concerns or bugs in the system. So in order to rectify all those kind of issues, so they need the help of the consultants, and in that case they create the tickets and assign it to the consultant, and consultant will resolve the issue and provide the solution to the customer. and then the ticket will be closed. So that is like support project. In any typical organization, the organization structure is going to be like this: the company codes, plans, storage, location. Let me give you a good example here. Let's take the Reliance as an example, just as an example. And it's a company brand, and under that, based on the industrial sector, they will have like a textile, oil and gas, geo, and all these are the different companies. So one company, there's a brand, and under that you have like different companies. And within each company, because for if you take like Geo, Reliance Geo, they are manufacturing Geo mobiles, right? So they should definitely have a plant to manufacture them. So under that company, they have plants, more than one plant or one plant, and for each plant to store the inventory, they should have some storage location. So it's more like the hierarchy is going to be like this: company, under the company you will have as many as companies, and under each company you will have plants, and under each plant you will have the storage locations. So this is about the project phases. So project phases is about like 5 phases here. What is project phases? So take any project type like implementation, rollout, or upgradation, not the support. So in the first three, implementation, rollout, upgradation, typically you are going to see these 5 phases in any project. So let's start with project initial preparation. What is this? So we have to, as a functional consultant, we should sit with the client and we should take all the requirements from them. Like in the requirement gathering, we should learn, and also we should document like how they are currently practicing or how they are currently executing the business processes in their current system, non-SAP systems. So, and then once we are done with this initial preparation, so we should document it in a blueprint document. And here in the blueprint document, we should provide as is process and a to-be solution, as is like how they are currently doing that in the non-SAP system. And in the to-be section, we should write down like how this can be done. This is going to be done in SAP. So it's to-be is more like a solution in SAP. So once the client sign off or approves this blueprint, the next phase is like realization. The realization system building is going to happen. This is what is system building. So as per the blueprint, so we defined the to be process, right? So how it can be done in SAP. So to support it, so in the realization phase, we should like as a functional consultant, we should build the system like in terms of the configuration and also the development, and we should and create some master data, and we should perform some transactional data. And it's all about like unit testing and integration testing and user acceptance testing. All these kind of testings are involved into realization phase. And once the realization is completed in the final preparation, so the transports are moved from development system to production system. And the transports having they carry the configuration from development to production, and we should load the master data in production system directly. And also we should work on the role matrix, roles and authorization. So once this is completed, final preparation phase is completed, and the next phase is the like go live. Go live is the point where the time when like the client stopped using their non-SAP system and they start using their SAP systems, and that is about the go live. So once the users start using the SAP, it's like a new environment, new world, right? So definitely they will have some kind of fear, or like they're scared. Some users are scared of using the new systems, and so in order to I mean take off that all kind of problems and issues, then consultants will be there like 1 or 2 weeks, and they will provide some kind of support. It's like a hypercare, just taking care of baby in a hypercare, right? So it's almost like taking care of the system, and I mean new implementation or rollout or upgradation in the hypercare phase. That's about the hypercare phase. And project deliverables. So these are the documents normally as a functional consultant you have to deliver it to your client. So requirement gathering document, blueprint, functional specification. I just explained about requirement gathering and blueprint, but functional specification is something. So whenever there is some non-standard functionality in SAP, we should document the requirement in the functional specification document, and we should provide it to the ABAP or the developer. So they will code the they use the ABAP coding to meet that new non-standard functionality. So that's about the functional specification document. And test scripts is all about like say in the testings, unit testing or like integration or user acceptance testing. So we should write down some test steps to how to run the business, right? Business processes, different scenarios. So that kind of script is called as test script. And in the test scripts, like everything steps are written with these instructions like what to do, what to do, and what is the expected result. And there like unit testing, integration testing, and user acceptance testing can be done based on the test scripts. And the last one is like training documents. Most of the clients, they never ask you the training document, but if they ask, so you have to provide it. So training document is like a template, so where you have to provide instructions like with screenshots how to use so and such T codes. So that will help the business to train their users. That's about these deliverables of the project in your as a functional consultant. And this is about the career in SAP. As I just mentioned, so you should at least have like a BTech completion, or like a passed out, or like a 3 years degree passed out, or if you have any other higher degrees, that is also okay. And here you can try for any MNC companies like Accenture, Cognizant, IBM, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, etc. And also apart from these, like mid-level companies and low, like startup companies, they also running up. With my experience, I'm saying like they are also uh, having contacts with the clients, and they're running some SAP projects. So they have like a lot of opportunities for SAP consultants, like especially in plant maintenance, PM and QM and customer service and PPPI modules, along with the other modules in SAP. That's about the introduction, and we ended with the career in SAP. Okay, so now I'm going to discuss. So let's discuss the SAP QM module. So QM is a module in SAP, and QM is quality management department in client. Okay, in any business. And QM module is a very very important module in SAP, and especially this QM module is mainly used in pharmaceuticals and any food industries and any medical devices manufacturing companies, and also in automobile industries. And here, so let me just simplify what is QM in a simple words. Okay, so now let's just even take this as an example. So when we are cooking some curry, and right, so if the curry output is not good, so I mean, whom you going to blame? So you can blame the cook, right, the chef, right? Now, so the problem can be like in the raw materials that are used for cooking the curry also, right? Yeah, some vegetables might, like, they are not in a good condition, so that those vegetables are used for making the curry. So in that way, the curry did not become well, right? Or the outcome did not well. So now here, like, see, if you want to make some output, or like make a finished product in a better way, so you should always make sure that the raw materials that are used to make the finished products are in quality, like, they are not in a bad condition. So that kind of checking, like, that is called as, that checking is like inspection. So we should inspect it. So it's in every day-to-day life. So we all, like, everyone do kind of inspection. What is that? When we go to the market, so we check the vegetables and we take them. And when we go to a supermarket, we check like some fruits and also and stuff, and then we will buy them, right? So in every day-to-day life, so we all are doing kind of inspection, right? Without knowing, I mean, without paying any attention to it, we are just doing that one. Okay, right? So in the same way, when it comes to a business, so business is like, let's take this as an example. There is one company, like manufacturing company of the pharmaceutical. Okay, they're pharmaceutical company. So they are making some kind of tablets. Okay, right. So these tablets will go into human's body, right? So now, if some, like a human, like there is, like, let's take like a person, like he is completely dead because of this taking by taking this medicine. So now what will happen? So the postmortem will be done, and then postmortem report will tell like this. Okay, so because this guy consumed so and so tablet, and then he died. Okay, so now the police will investigate, and they will go to the company, and they will ask the company like, how you manufactured this tablet, and provide us like all kind of the practices that you are using, and provide us like the quality inspection results that when you made that product, okay, for that product and for that particular batch. So if they find something wrong with the inspection results while making that product, okay, in the time back, so now then the company will face a lot of illegal issues. So to avoid all kind of all these issues, so like most of the like pharmaceutical and food industries, and also even the automobile industries, they're having their own quality management department, okay, the QM department. So what they basically do, so because see, these all these companies are making some kind of finished product, right? Say the pharmaceutical industry, they are making tablets, and in the medical devices industry, they are making some kind of X-ray and MRI machines, and in automobile industry, they are making cars and two-wheelers and so and so, right? Okay, so now to make these products, just imagine you need raw materials. So say now, like you to make a kind of automobile, okay, you need tires, you need brakes, lights, and so, right? We can just count like this, okay. And to make a tablet, so you need few raw materials like chemicals, like say I'm just giving it an example, some potassium, calcium, and NaCl, so, right? Okay, so all these are like raw materials. With these raw materials we can build, the companies build what the finished product. Okay, so now what they have to check mainly, so when they are buying those raw materials from outside vendors, normally, like they buy the raw materials from the outside vendors, and then they get those raw materials, then they start building the finished product. So once the finished product is completed, then also they have to check the finished product. I mean, in the two ways, like when they are buying the raw materials, they have to check the raw materials, and while they are making the product, they have to check the product, like in while they are making, during this process, like making stage, and also once the finished product is completed, they have to completely check the finished product. So now just let's go into the process. Okay, this is how like a QM department is involved into different modules. Okay, let me explain you that. So now the QM business process. What is business process? So here mainly like how quality management department and module is integrated with other modules or other departments. So now the first one is like QM integration with MM. I will explain what these all these are like. Okay. Now QM integration with PPPI and integration with PM and SD. So let's start with QM integration with MM. So what is MM department? It's a material management department. They are responsible for buying the raw materials from the vendors. That is their main duty, right? So now, if they just imagine if there is no QM department in that company, so when these MM department just buy the raw materials and put it in the storage location, right? And the PP production department just will grab the raw materials from the storage location shelf and they start building the product, right? So now, who is checking the raw materials? Nobody is, right? So as I explained, like like a few minutes ago, so what like to, because if nobody is caring about it, and they have to face the legal issues if something goes wrong, right? So now let's keep the QM into picture. Okay, now let's bring the QM into this business. Now if the QM is there, so when MM department buys raw materials from outside vendors, okay, then they cannot put those raw materials directly into the storage location. So because why? QM department is like a check post that is keeping the check post. Okay, then the raw materials are not directly kept into the storage location, but into the QM department. The QM department will thoroughly check the raw materials, and then if like they are good, then they move it to the storage location. If they are not good, what they will do? They will tell the MM department like, okay, these materials are not in a good condition because of so and so reason. Okay, now just please return this back to the vendor. So that is how the QM is integrated with MM in terms of like raw material inspection. Okay, right. Now, when it comes to the second thing, like QM integration with PP or PI, okay. So PP or PI, they have like little difference, okay. But let me take PP as an example here. Production planning. So this department, they are responsible for making initial product, like final product. So what they normally do, they just go to storage location and they grab the raw materials that are required. Say for example, they are making like 10 bicycles. If they want to grab like raw materials for the 10 bicycles, okay, they should like, because every cycle, each cycle has two tires, right? Okay, two tires. So how many for 10 cycles? How many raw material they required? Totally like 10 into 2, right? It's 20 tires. Likewise, they have some kind of calculation. System will tell them that, okay, hey, you have 10 pieces of like 10 cycles order, and you need to bring you, this is the checklist for all the raw materials, like 10 tires, and like 10 like 20 tires and 20 brakes, okay, and so like 10 lights and so, okay, this list. So they will go to the storage location and they will grab all those raw materials. Now they start building the finished product. Okay, now there are like two types of inspection here. So now they just fix the tires. Okay, no, they just fix the tires to the bicycle like the frame, and now the QM department will come and see that the wheel alignment is proper way or not. And next they will fix the brakes, right? They will assemble the brakes. Who? The PP department assemble the brakes. And now the QM department will come into the picture and they will check whether the brakes are like they are good or not. Okay, and now they PP department assembles the lights. and now QM department will come and see that whether lights are properly working or not. Okay, and finally the cycle is assembled by the PP department. Now the QM will come and see whether the cycle is properly working or not. Now we have like two scenarios here. See, the QM department is involved with PP in two stages, like while making the product and also after completely finish making the products. Two stages, right? So that, like while making product, the QM department is being involved, right? So that process is called as in-process inspection, because that is in the QM department is involved here, because during the in-process of in-process what, like making of during the making stage of product, finished product, and also after the completion of the finished product. So in two cases. So now the next third one is QM integration with plant maintenance, right? And now what is QM integration with plant maintenance? So in terms of calibration, QM is involved with PM, okay, and also QM integration with ST. But let's jump into the next slide here. Raw material inspection. What is this raw material inspection? In the previous slide, we have seen the first scenario, right? QM integration with MM. So in QM integration with MM, as I explained, MM is purely responsible for like procuring the raw materials from the vendors. Okay, so the raw materials must be checked by the quality department. Then only those materials can be moved into storage location of the plant. Okay, that's how the QM and MM are integrated with each other. Okay, so if you see the some notes here, creation of inspection lot at goods receipt against purchase order schedule agreement. Let me simplify it. So there is like purchase order document created by MM. So that purchase order will go to vendor, and vendor will look into that purchase order, and he will deliver the required raw materials to the plant. Okay, and who is requesting this? Who is creating this purchase order? MM department, and they are sending it to the vendor, and vendor is delivering raw materials to the plant. And now once the raw materials are coming to the plant, okay, the materials cannot be directly put into the storage location. First they must be checked by the quality department. If they are good, then they will go into the storage location. If they are not good, then return back to the vendor. That is how the QM and MM integration tightly integrated. So it's more like, what is here? I have like another point here: lot creation, processing, and completion. So what is lot? Lot is like it's an object, or like it's a reference number for the QM department, just like the purchase order. Okay, so once the goods are received into the system by the MM department, then inspection lot is created. This inspection lot will go to QM department. It's more like, inspection lot is the triggering point where the QM department is involved into like inspection for these raw materials. That's it. Okay, so once the lot is completed, that means that the QM has made a decision whether to accept or reject the materials. Okay, right. Now in process inspection, as I said, like a QM is involved, integrated with the PP department, right? Here, like as I said, so PP department is responsible for making the finished product. So while making the finished product, right? So it's simple, like when you're cooking rice at your home. So like like now we have electric cookers. So once it is done, completely cooked, so it will give kind of whistle for you. So that time that, okay, and also some light indicator will change from point 1 to point 1 A to B. Okay, that way you will know, okay, the rice is cooked. But like if somebody is not using that rice cooker, electronic rice cooker, how they will check in the traditional way? So they put some rice in a bowl and then put this water and then put the lid and then start the gas. Okay, right. Now after some time they will go and take one bit of piece, like a few rice elements from the bowl, and then they will check it whether the rice is cooked or not, and they will again go and check it. The similar thing they do for the making curry also, right? Okay, and once after 1 hour or like 45 minutes, they feel that, okay, the rice is cooked, again they will check it whether it's cooked properly or not. Even in the case of curry also, while making curry they will check it. And also once the completely curry is done, and they will check it again, like whether the salt is completely in a proper way or not. Okay, see, like checking is done while making a finished product in a general way. I mean, in the real world also, it is done in two ways, like while making the product and also after completely making the product, finishing making the product. Okay, so it's the same thing that I'm talking here in the real time also. I mean in the business also, they are assembling some bicycle. They are assembling to make a bicycle, a finished product, and while assembling it, and they are checking at every stage. Who is checking? QM department is checking at every stage. They are inspecting it, and also while after finishing the like bicycle assembly, then also they are checking it. Okay, in the two stages, that like QM is involved here in process. In process means checking the product while it is being made. Okay, that's one point. And final inspection is again like it's an integration point for between QM and PP. So this inspection is something like the QM department will check the product after like completely it is completely made by the PP department. Okay, that is the main difference between in process and final inspection. And now this is a calibration inspection. So what is calibration? This is the integration point between QM and plant maintenance department, right? So what is plant maintenance department particularly? Plant maintenance department is like they take care of all the machines in the plant, the machines which are, see, like to make an automobile, to make tablets, the company use a lot of machinery, right? Those machines, sometimes the machines break, completely broke down. Sometimes they have oil leakages and so and so issues. So who is going to take care of all those issues? The PM department will take care of those issues, right? So now here the QM department will help the PM department in one particular case, like it is calibration inspection. So like every monthly one time, or like for every 6 months, the QM department will go and check the each and every machine, or like particular few machines based on the requirement. Okay, and they will check the machines whether they are properly working or not in a predefined specification, because every machine has to work in a predefined specifications, right? So if you take like a thermometer, so it should work like the way it was designed. So in every case, like a car or like a machine, anything has to work in a designed way. So right. So now if the machines also should work in a designed way. So that is how like periodically quality management department will go to the plant and they check all the machines, they're properly working or not. So that is how the calibration is integration point between QM and PM, right? And now we have, I just explained you like few inspection types because of the time constraint here in the demo. Like one is like raw material inspection, and in process inspection, and final inspection, and calibration, right? So now apart from that, you have like all these inspection types in SAP quality management, like source inspection, inspection for a stock transfer, and recurring inspection of batches, and miscellaneous inspection, inspection for a delivery to customer, inspection for other goods received. Okay, so but out of all these, let me pick one and let me explain what is source inspection. So source inspection, now see, just imagine it. In the raw material inspection, in the first scenario, the raw material purchase order is created by and then purchase order will go to vendor. Vendor will look at the purchase, send the raw materials to the plant, and the department will receive them. Inventory department will receive them, and before they put it into the storage location, first the quality management department will check, and then they are put into the storage location if they are in good condition. That is like raw material inspection, right? Regular raw material inspection. Source inspection is like little different from the regular normal raw material inspection. How? Let me explain. Now, the department has created a purchase order, right? Now they will send one of the quality inspectors to the vendor site, and at the vendor side, the vendor is ready with all the raw materials to ship it to the plant, right? And then before it ship it to the plant, then what they do, the quality inspector went from the plant, right, to inspect it at the vendor site only. Okay, and they will inspect there. The quality inspector is going from plant to the vendor site, and then at the vendor site he is inspecting the raw materials whether they are working or not. I mean, they are in good condition or not. If they are good, then only the vendor will send the materials to the plant. See, what is the difference between raw material and here also source inspection? Here, in the raw material, it is very straightforward. Purchase order is created and it is sent to vendor, and vendor will send the raw materials directly to the plant. And in the plant, QM department will check them, inspect them. If they are good, they will put it in the storage location. If they are not good, they will send back to the vendor. But now here in the source inspection, it's not like that. Here, let's assume that the vendor has some kind of special machinery to inspect them, where the plant does not have that kind of special machines to inspect them. So in that, there is no way, like other option for the plant to check them, right? Because they don't have any equipments, machinery to check them. So in that way, they are sending their quality inspectors to the vendor site, and they're like at the vendor site only the quality inspector are checking them. If they are good, and they will give a permission to the vendor, like, okay, you can send them to our plant. If they are not, then just arrange other raw materials, or just get other new pieces, or some kind of new choices, right? So that is how the source inspection. So likewise, source inspection, we have all these inspection types, and we are going to cover in our training. So this course is going to be 45 days and 45 hours. And now let me explain you this. So here, like, what we are going to cover mainly, like, all these business processes, inspection types, and this is the master data. We are going to cover like material master, QMU, info records, sampling scheme, and so and so. And the last one is inspection plans, bonds, routings, and quality certificates profiles. Okay. So let me explain you this, what is master data. If you are the beginner in SAP, so master data is like something that helps in every day-to-day business activities. Okay, that can be used again and again to perform some transactions. Okay, right. Now, SAP QM configuration. These are the settings that, as a functional consultant, we are responsible to set up all these in the client server. Okay, right. And the transactional data. This is the transactional data we are going to cover, like inspection logs, results recording, user edition, and within the quality notification, we have customer complaints and complaint against vendor, internal problem notifications, and quality levels. Okay. And here, now let me give you, just before closing, so let me give you an idea about what is the configuration, master data, and transactional data. This is a very nice example. And see, now if your grandparents ask you to buy a smartphone for them because they want to make a video call every day, or like just they want to see you, you're living far away from them, right? Now you bought a smart iPhone for them and you give it to them. So basically, what do you do normally when you buy it and give it to them? So you open it and you start the phone, and you insert the SIM card, and then you turn it on, and then you will teach them like how to make the calls, right? Because they are not aware of the smartphones. Just in this case, now, what kind of things you do normally before you completely make them aware of this phone? Okay, right. First thing, you will go to the settings and you will look at some kind of settings, right? And then you will create some contacts, and you will show them like how to make some calls. See, now just imagine here the settings, what you are doing now, that is configuration, and the contacts you are adding there, right, that is master data, and you're making some test calls over there, right, like some video calls, and you're making some calls, and also you will teach them like how to do the messaging if it is needed. Okay, now see here, you are using the same some contacts for for different purpose, like for messaging and for making calls, phone calls, for making video calls on WhatsApp, right? Now the contacts are reused here again and again for different purposes. So anything that is reused for for doing some kind of transaction, like if it is something used in a different way, that is like a master data. Okay, so now what is configuration? It is like settings, and master data is something like which can be used again and again, like the context. And what is transactional data? Transactional data is more like your call log, like whether you made like WhatsApp audio video call, or audio voice call, or like you did some messages, or like you got some missed calls, or whatever it is. Okay, that log is like transactional data. Transactional data is in a simple way, it's your day capturing, it's your day-to-day activity that you perform. Okay, contacts is something once you added, then once you add them, then you will reuse them for making some transactions. Okay, and the configuration is all about like settings that you do in your settings on the phone. Now just imagine, so when a new client, they have never used SAP, and now they want to they want to use SAP, right? So they hire some functional consultants, and it's a 1-year project. So after 1 year, then SAP is completely set up, right? And they start using SAP. But during that 1 year duration, in that long journey, so as a functional consultant, how we are involved into that project. So the same example, let's just compare with the phone, smartphone. Here, now just imagine your grandparents as a client. Okay, now what kind of things you did for them before you hand over the smartphone? Like settings, you did it. Obviously they are never going to mess with the settings again, right? And you added some master data, contacts, right? And in future they may add, because you taught them. Okay, and now you help them how to make the calls, you showed them, right? and definitely they will start making the calls. Okay, now come to the SAP world. Now with your client in that 1 year's duration in the long journey, you are responsible for making the configuration. The configuration is not just like few settings, just like the way you did in smartphone. It's like a huge, like it's like in that 1 year journey, you have to gather the requirements and you have to map them in the system, and you have to understand them and you have to configure them in the system. So who is doing configuration in SAP? It's you, not the client. Just like in smartphone case, it's not your grandparents, it's you. Okay. So configuration is done by the functional consultant. And what about the master data? So who created master data in smartphone? The contacts. You created few, and after that, they create. They know how to create. So in the same way, in the real time also, in the SAP world, you teach the users, like and you help them with creation of few master data. Okay, and once you're out of the project, and they will start creating the master data on their own. Okay, keep that in mind. And number three, transactional data. In the smartphone example, you help your grandparents to make some calls. I mean, sure, as an example. And after that, they doing on their own, right? In the same way here in the SAP world, you help the users to create some transactional data, right? Like transactional data is example like creating notifications and creating results recording. So in QM perspective, okay. And then once you're out of the project, they will do it on their own. So now, just let's summarize this. Who is going to do the configuration in that 1 year's duration project? As a functional consultant, it's you. And who is going to set up the master data? First, you will set up, and you will teach them how to set up, and the user will set up it when you're not there. Okay, when you're out of the project. And now the third thing is your transactional data. How is doing this one? So first you teach, you do it, and you help the users how to do it. Okay, and users will do it on their own. Okay, so this is, just think about a configuration and transfer data and master data. Okay, this is all about. And as I said, there's the 45 days and 1 hour a day and 45 hours, and all the best. Thank you.